Thank you, Senator Toomey. Senator Menendez of New Jersey is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Yentel, the National Low Income Housing Coalition's Out of Reach report shows in stark detail just how hard it is for low income renters to afford even modest housing. In my home state of New Jersey, a medium income renter is barely able to pay for a one-bedroom home. A renter earning minimum wage would need to work 80 hours a week or 2 full-time jobs to afford a one-bedroom house. However, the data is actually even worse than that because affordable housing availability impacts other parts of a family's budget. For example, affordable housing is increasingly located in areas that are far away from job centers, forcing workers to pay higher transportation costs. Given this, how important is it that we build more affordable housing near public transit so that we can connect people to good-paying jobs and careers and opportunities?
Thank you for the question, Senator Menendez. It is important that Congress not only invest in more deeply affordable homes for the lowest income people, but also to ensure that low-income, extremely low-income people and people of color can live near transportation and the opportunities that that presents for them. We also have to be careful when we work on transit-oriented development to ensure that it doesn't create displacement or gentrification. And the affordable housing component of TOD is the best way to do that, to ensure that we are preserving existing affordable housing in neighborhoods connected to transportation and building more so that the lowest income people aren't displaced if new development comes near those transit stations.
Thank you. That's why I led the charge of my Livable Communities Act, which creates a federal grant program to incentivize the development of new affordable housing near existing mass transit. We hope to see some of that happen. By the way, my preface to the question, you don't dispute any of what I said in terms of the realities of where it is for rental incomes in terms of people's challenge to meet that.
Absolutely. Rents are far out of reach certainly for minimum wage workers, other low wage workers, for seniors, people with disabilities on extremely limited fixed incomes. But we also find that rents are far out of reach even for the average renter, who often earns about $5 to $6 less an hour than what rent costs in their communities. So a big part of the housing crisis that we are facing today is stagnant or declining wages for the lowest income people and skyrocketing rents that they can't afford.
And when people can't find a place to call home, and they're displaced, then society bears the burden. Talk about who bears the burden.
Oh, absolutely. Inaction is expensive. As a country, we pay to allow for homelessness and housing poverty to persist, and we pay for it through increased healthcare costs for families and parents. We pay for it through lessened educational attainment for kids. Families that are unaffordably housed or precariously housed earn less over their lifetimes. They pay less in taxes. So the flip of that is also true. When we invest in affordable housing, there are savings to be found in many other areas of our life and throughout the federal government.
Thank you. Professor Desmond, the coronavirus brought unprecedented challenges to all of us, including renters across America, many who were already struggling prior to the pandemic. However, with the CARES Act eviction moratorium and the emergency rental assistance funding provided by the Consolidated Appropriations Act and the American Rescue Plan, we were able to keep millions of people from being evicted. What has the Eviction Lab's data shown about how these programs help renters stay in their homes?
Both programs were historic and incredibly successful. Between the end of the CDC's eviction moratorium and July, roughly 216,000 evictions that would be expected under normal conditions did not happen. The biggest reductions in evictions were seen in low-income African American and Hispanic communities, areas mostly affected by the eviction crisis. At the same time, during the days, I should say, that the moratorium existed, foreclosures were down historically in the country too, because the federal government also rolled out forbearance for homeowners. And so this was a policy that was one of the most important federal policies in the lives of low-income renters since the invention of public housing.
And finally, what lessons can we learn from the pandemic with regards to targeted housing assistance programs to the communities that need it most to ensure funding is deployed as rapidly and efficiently as possible?
One of the consequences of the Emergency Rental Assistance Program is the development of channels in every state to get money in the hands of tenants that need it in a way to make property owners whole. It would be a waste to let those channels go by the wayside since we've built them through the pandemic.
Thank you.